What is going on, guys? I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another zombies video where today we are going to be looking at the story of George Romero from Call of the Dead. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you could so kindly leave me a like rating. It only takes 2 seconds. That would mean the absolute world to me. If you want to see some more videos on the channel, make sure you are subscribed as well. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Here we go. George Romero, born on February 4th, 1940 in New York City, USA, is a director with the nickname The Godfather of All Zombies. Best known for a series of gruesome horror films about an imagined zombie apocalypse, beginning with The Night of the Living Dead, continuing on to Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. This director, George Romero, the Godfather of the Dead, is obsessed with zombies. Some years before March 17th, 2011, George Romero wanted to do some research for a World War II movie he was going to be directing. But whilst doing this research, he came across some old Nazi documents. Wanting to direct a film about World War II, and so looking into the Nazis and information about them for his film, somehow he came across some Nazi documents that he didn't expect to find. Where exactly he found these documents though is unknown. Since Call of the Dead is set in present day 2011, could he have found them on the dark web on his computer? Did he maybe go to an abandoned Nazi outpost from way back in World War II and accidentally find these documents? Or whilst doing research for his World War II film, did he travel to one of the abandoned Group 935 outposts and once again find these documents? We don't know. But these old Nazi documents that George found were astonishing. To him, he couldn't believe what he was reading. These documents contained information about Element 115, the undead, the zombies. George Romero found all of this information in some old Nazi documents.
Years ago, I did research for a World War II movie. I came across some old Nazi documents. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Element 115, necromancers, raising the dead, real creepy stuff.
We're completely surrounded! Come on!
The coolest thing? Some of that crazy shit happened right here.
And as soon as he found this, it intrigued him. George, being this fanatic of zombies in the first place, believing that they did actually exist in real life, him now finding these top secret Nazi documents talking about experiments on the living dead from World War II. This to George was a goldmine, and wanting to keep this top secret only for himself, he began to do his own research on this to try and find out more. And so George digged deeper. He did more and more research. He started to discover things about time travel, different dimensions, about the experiments that happened with the Americans in the labs at 5, the Pentagon, Group 935 at Derice, Experiment 26 at Kino der Toten, what happened at Verrückt. George discovered all of these things out about what Group 935 were up to because he was digging deeper into this information he found within these old Nazi documents. Remember that back during World War II, 1945 and before that, the Nazis and Group 935 signed a contract to work together. Group 935 would provide Nazis with zombies and weapons to win the war, whilst the Nazis would provide Group 935 with funding. So it'd be no surprise that information about Group 935, maybe contracts, would be hidden alongside Nazi documents, since both the Nazi Party and Group 935 had a contract and were working together. And so George discovered all of this information as he was doing more and more research. During his research, he also found out about the Group 935 outpost in Siberia, and about the research that the mad German scientist Richthofen was doing there. George, after finding out all of this information, then wanted to go to the Siberian outpost itself to see if there was anything left there from what Group 935 were doing back during World War II. At this time when George was doing his research, all of the Group 935 outposts were abandoned. In fact, Group 935 no longer existed. The operations of 935 failed during 1945 when the zombie outbreak first happened and Samantha took control. So Group 935's operations at Derice, Verrückt, Siberia, all of them, everything was over. The zombies had killed all the members and everything had been destroyed. George became active as a director, I believe, in 1962, so his research started after that, and by that time Group 935 was well over. Call of the Dead takes place in present time, 2011. And so since all of this is happening in present time, George decides, after doing all of this research, that he's going to go to the Siberian outpost to see if there was anything left of this mysterious Group 935 and the zombies they had been experimenting on, to see if his research really was real. And so in 2011 he told Hollywood that he wanted to make a film about zombies in Siberia. He gathered his casting crew. He chose Sarah Gellar, Robert Englund, Danny Trejo and Michael Rooker to play as the cast fighting off against the zombies. He gathered the crew he needed to make this film. Then they all travelled to Siberia. George's real intention wasn't only to go here to make this film, but in secret, he was going to also see if he could discover anything more about what Group 935 were doing here, to see if he could see this evidence for real life in his own eyes. And so once everything was set up and George and the casting crew arrived at Siberia, they started shooting George's zombie horror film. But at night, when everyone was sleeping and recording for the film was on pause, George would go out to the lighthouse and the surrounding buildings in the area to try and find maybe some more hidden documents, any leftover proof that Group 935 existed in the research with the zombies that they were doing. He found out more information. He found more documents about time travel, about different dimensions. He found out about Richthofen's test subjects and his work here at Siberia. He found out about Dr. Harvey Yeaner and a load of top secret information about Group 935 hidden within this abandoned facility. And then when it was time, he would go back to recording his film. But one day when recording for George's zombie horror film was in process, during one of the scenes where Sarah Gellar was supposed to bust her way out of the lighthouse and kick one of the actor zombies down the stairs, while she was inside of the lighthouse, she messed with something. We don't know what, but this awoken the zombies. Whether she touched a bit of leftover 115 from what was here before or something else, we don't know. But a zombie suddenly come out of nowhere. Now, since they were recording a film about zombies, the crew initially thought that this was just one of the actors. But because of this, before they could stop it, that zombie picked up and ran away with George. It was at this point that the crew then realised that that wasn't an actor, that zombies were real, that maybe all of this research and all of these suspicious things and all of this talk that George had been going on about, the fact that he believed in zombies so much, they thought that maybe the guy wasn't insane and that he might have been telling the truth. And so realising that a real zombie just took George, all of the other zombies around them awaken and start to attack them, and the crew start to fend them off. They fight for their lives.
Well, I've always liked the monster within idea. I like the zombies being us. It's like zombies are the blue-collar monsters.
We're completely surrounded!
We're completely fucked! Are you girls kidding me? I've been praying for this shit! Come on!
Boys, let's get to work.
For God's sakes, he missed me again!
Oh, cut! Are you blind, man? Like this.
Ow! Oh!
See?
Oh! No, Jefe, I do it like this. Daddy!
I do it like this.
Get back to hair and makeup. You don't look dead enough.
Come on, let's go.
That ain't in the script.
We're writing a new one. It's called Maggot Death Massacre! This is a real nightmare.
Let's slay some stiffs.
In the meantime, whilst they're fighting off the zombies, George, who had been stolen, became infected, and he had now turned. Once George had turned into a zombie, he then went off to find and attack the crew. So not only were Sarah, Robert, Danny and Michael now fighting off against the normal zombies, but they also had a zombified version of George to fight off against as well. Now, as we know, whilst they were fighting off against George and the zombies, Richtofen and the crew teleported to this location, but even though Richtofen intended to come here, he teleported here at the wrong time. He meant to go back in the past, but instead he came too far in the future, all the way to March 17th, 2011, when the crew were fighting off against the zombies. Fortunately, as we know, the MDT broke down, so they had to ask the crew to help them out, and eventually they did, giving Richtofen the golden rod, allowing him to teleport away to his next location, which was Shangri-La. But this still left the crew trapped in Siberia, still fending off against George and the zombies. But eventually, it was too much for them, and the crew died. They were overrun and killed by the zombies. And the same goes for George. Since he was already infected, since George was already a zombie, he was already technically dead, leaving George and the crew to eventually die in Siberia, Call of the Dead, and that was the end of them. But it is believed that Sarah Michelle Gellar actually escaped. In Revelations, we can hear a radio from a woman, and she says this.
It's been 6 weeks since the rest of the Call of the Dead cast and crew went missing. Hollywood's lost its fucking mind with this story. An entire production vanishes? Crazy talk. I told you, this is why you don't shoot in Siberia. So with agent on line 1, manager on line 2, I needed to sort this quickly. I'd rather zombies come for me than an agent. That's real horror. I don't need that. I started going through his research, and good fucking lord, this is a confusing mess. So much shit about time travel, different dimensions. Honestly, I'm not even sure what he's getting into. You can make this stuff up. A mad German scientist, a foul-mouthed American, a drunk Soviet, and a warrior Japanese soldier, all working together?
Anyway, I don't want to talk about the Call of the Dead story because that's for another video. This one was the story of George, and that's exactly what happened to him. In the end, George became a zombie and was left to die. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you are all enjoying the story of videos on the characters. Make sure you check out the other ones on the channel. They've had fantastic support, so thank you all so much for that. If we could again surpass the amazing amount of like ratings on this video, that'd be fantastic. Let me know who you would like me to cover next in the character series. Make sure you are subscribed, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course I will see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.